Welcome to the UMASS Dynasty as we're going into week 2. UMass looks to get their first win of the season and bounce back from a tough loss taken in week 1 to the University of Temple of a score of 62-37 as they take on today in week 2 FCS West Judicials. Coach Donovan Hedgecock is hoping to build some momentum early on in the season before he gets too far away from him and it starts to trickle into multiple losses at the beginning of the year and the start of this new tenure of UMass football. The big story on today is going to be Grant Jordan at quarterback. Is he going to be able to limit the turnovers today and be able to get a good, sound, fundamental game at the quarterback position as we start off the kickoff, and UMass is going to be returning it against FCS, and it's just going to be brought back out to about the 23-yard line. And as mentioned, the senior quarterback, Grant Jordan, who is the starter for now, who does have a true freshman behind him. If he's not able to pretty much build some passes together without any turnovers, he might be on the verge of getting benched. But here he's starting to slightly roll out, and that one's going to be incomplete and almost intercepted to be able to start this game out. And we're going to move on to a 3rd and 9 as he's going to hit the crosser over the middle. The true freshman, Dia Johnson, and he's going to hit a big crosser, and he's going to be in for the touchdown. That's going to be an 80-yard touchdown pass from Grant Jordan to Dia Johnson, and that's going to be his first receiving touchdown of the year for the true freshman as he's going to get a big one catch for 75 yards. And hopefully, in throughout his tenure at this UMass program, he's going to be able to build a couple of those up as we start to move on, as he starts to develop, and we start to get a little bit more of these young receivers involved. Hopefully, we can just be able to build upon that. Now coming out for the FCS West Judicials, we have Jarrell O'Neal, who's going to be their a junior running back who's really going to be leading the way for them as they come out in a power I formation and kind of come out with a straight lead ISO and get a big gain as he breaks a tackle for about 15 yards. And now they're going to be in the flex bone and they're going to be running the triple option pretty much all day as they get a guaranteed 9 yards right up the middle. And for 3rd and inches, they're going to run it straight up the middle with their quarterback. Going to be a lot of QB runs that we're going to be expecting, a lot of motions, a lot of misdirections, a lot of triple options as the ball's on the ground there, and they're going to recover. And this is going to be a big 3rd and 15 here for the Judicials on their opening drive as they're going to throw a quick check down, but it's just going to be too many yards to go as they're going to cut down to a 4th and 6. And this is a big field goal here. It's a 51-yarder coming up for the Judicials. And this is going to be an impressive kick as the FCS kicker makes a 51-yarder right down the middle, and that's going to get the Judicials on the board, and it's going to be 7-3 here after both opening drives. It would hope a little bit more for UMass, not letting them get into field position there, but they're going to start their next drive out with a quick run up the middle to Jawan Price, their leading running back, for 9 yards. Now they're going to send him in motion, and they're going to be dropping back to pass as Grant Jordan's just going to throw a quick check down to get the sticks moving. That little hitch route over the middle. Quick and easy pitch and catch for Grant Jordan. And we're coming up here 2nd and 8, and Price is going to cut it to the outside as he's going to get a pretty big run there for about 15 yards, and he's going to keep the sticks moving. Now, after they don't do anything on the first 2 downs, it's going to be 3rd and 6. He's going to move a guy in motion, and he's going to try to hit his big tight end on the corner route, and he throws another interception. After throwing 3 interceptions in week 1, he throws another one early in week 2 in the first quarter, and that's going to lead to the Judicials taking over at about the 25-yard line. And they come back with their triple option. And UMass's defense is really tightened up here on the second drive as they're trying to shut down this triple option threat. And they're going to drop back the pass here on the 3rd and 14. And he's just going to throw another quick check down for about 6 yards. And this is going to lead to another Judicials punt. And UMass, Price is coming up, and he catches it in stride, and he's going to get a big return here all the way down to about the 35 yards, setting up UMass's offense in great field position. And they're going to start out their next drive with a quick inside zone, and he's going to make a couple guys miss and get it back down and get about an 8-yard gain for a 2nd and 2. So coming up to the line, Judicials are on defense, and Jordan is making a couple adjustments, and he's going to throw a quick crosser right over the middle, and it's going to be caught, and it's going to be a big gain all the way down to about the 3-yard line from this young receiving core. And we're going to see, just like we did from last week, that big power I formation as UMass is going to walk in for their second straight touchdown of the game on 2 straight possessions. And that one's actually going to be the backup running back there. Rocco Griffin is going to get in there for that touchdown, as he's more the big power back here for this UMass team. This UMass team is really starting to develop a big running attack, as it was pretty effective last week against Temple, and Rocco Griffin's come in to be able to be that 1-2 punch. So we have Price and Griffin coming in both and giving us valuable time at the running back position by committee. And we're going to come back with this flex bone offense by FCS East. And in this flex bone, send another guy to motion on a 3rd and 4, and he's going to drop out, and UMass is just going to send the house and get another sack here. And UMass taking over here, 1st and 10. They're going to try to take a shot with the play action. Jordan's going to be forced out of the pocket, and he's luckily just going to throw it away, and he's not going to force anything to try to get his second turnover today. As they're going to drop back again, 3rd and 10. They're going to need a big play to be able to get the 6. He's rolling out, and he's going to throw across his body. And that's actually going to be a flag, and it was caught short of the sticks. So that would be 4th and inches, depending on what the flag is. And it's going to be defensive pass interference on FCS East. And that's going to give UMass the automatic first down. But they don't do anything on the first 2 downs here, and it's going to result in a 3rd and 10 here at about the 40-yard line as Jordan drops back. And he's going to try to hit X, and he doesn't see the defender right there, and he throws a second interception early on in this first quarter. It is 5 interceptions early on through 2 games. 2 here through the first quarter, and that's just 2 turnovers you can't have against an FCS team as they come back with their triple option. He's going to pitch it back out, and he's going to lose a lot of yards. Thank goodness after that first drive, this UMass defense has really tightened up and has really been able to kind of stop this FCS attack, and they're going to get about 6 yards there for 4th and 5, and UMass is going to try to slow the game down, come back in that power I, and Rocco Griffin's going to take that for about 13 yards and gain the first down. And we're going to be here 3rd and 7 with a little bit of play action here. And he has X a little bit open, but he's going to end up taking it himself and picking up that first down. So he's going to keep the sticks moving. He doesn't really want to force it after getting 2 interceptions and 5 interceptions through 2 games. And that's going to bring us to the end of the first quarter. A very quick one because we have 2 teams looking to run the ball, as UMass has about 100 yards on the ground throughout the first quarter. And they're going to look to continue that attack here on 2nd and 10. He gets a big hole up the middle, and Jawan Price is going to hit a 40-yard touchdown rush untouched on the trap play up the middle, as he's going to continue that rushing attack. And I can definitely feel a big day for this UMass rushing attack between both Jawan Price and Rocco Griffin. And Price, he's the big leader, senior running back, and he just sees the hole. He makes a quick cutback throughout that big hole made by the offensive line, who's been playing much better this week compared to last week against Temple. And that's going to lead to FCS East taking it over here on this 3rd and 8. On the next drive, and their quarterback's going to scramble up the middle and be able to get that first down. That's a great way to have a good pocket presence to be able to build into that pocket and gain that first down, as they're going to run back into their flex bone. They're going to hand it off to receiver in motion. He's going to get about 14 yards on that simple wide receiver power. Send him back in motion. This time they're going to pitch it to him on the edge, and he's got a lot of room, but he comes up inside and only gains about 5. You got to think if he keeps it more there on the edge as they continue running this triple option, and they're not going to be taking it anywhere. UMass taking over on their own 5-yard line, back to that power I, and Jawan Price is out in space. One guy to beat, and he makes a miss, and if he can outrun this defender, that's going to be a huge 95-yard rushing touchdown for Jawan Price. The senior running back is taking over this game against FCS East, and he's got to have almost 200 yards through a quarter and a half of play. This could be a career day and a UMass record for Jawan Price if he's able to keep up this pace. And you can see here through the replay, them and that power I offense is very dangerous against these teams if they're able to establish their dominance and be able to run the ball down their throat. You can see he makes one guy miss, and he's just off to the races after that and completing that 95-yard rush. I really thought he was going to be able to get get chased down there by the FCS defenders, but he's able to keep his speed up and complete that for a big touchdown. And UMass takes the lead 28-3. This could be a blowout, and this game could be over easy. FCS East is going to need to respond here. 1st and 10, and that's going to be a big sack by the UMass defense up front and put them in a situation of 3rd and 13 as they just hand it off here, and then they're going to be looking to punt again. UMass taking over on their next drive, 2nd and 10 after the punt, as they're going to continue to run it, and Price is just going to make the amazing cut and be able to see the field as he's at 195 yards. And they're going to be passing here on 1st and 10 as Grant Jordan finds his tight end, makes it about 2nd and inches. Now, he hasn't had the best day, but luckily they've had that running game to be able to fall back on as Grant Jordan rolls out of the pocket, and he's going to force it to his defender and be able to get that first down. This young receiving core you would think would want to get more involved as Gibson's going to get it on the jet touch pass, and he's got some room to the outside, and he's going to dive for it, and he's going to be into the touchdown and be able to hit that front pylon, and that's going to be a 30-yard passing touchdown for Grant Jordan, and that's going to be a simple one there for him as Gibson just does all the work, and they're going to take a 35-3 lead here at UMass as this is starting to get ugly here in the second quarter, and this is a much better game for this UMass team than what it was last week. FCS East taking over, and he's going to try to scramble and make some space as he's actually going to get out of the pocket and get about 5 yards and stay in front of the sticks. And here they are in their own I-left formation as they run a quarterback lead to the outside, and he's actually going to be short and not get there as he gets pushed back a little bit. And then on the next possession, a big 3rd and 9 for UMass to try to keep their drive going. About 4 minutes left in the second quarter as he's going to try to hit an out route, and that is going to be batted away, and that's going to lead to UMass's first punt of the game back to FCS East as they're going to run the speed option to the left side, and he's pretty much just going to lower his head and try to get as many yards as he can here. Big 3rd and 4 for them. Try to keep the drive going. They got to be able to get some points here right before halftime to try to keep them in this game. And he's going to be sacked again for the 3rd time today by this UMass defense for a 4th and 10. And their O-line just cannot hold up this front 7 of UMass as Tim Grant is in there on the sack. The senior, the big overall leader of this team, the highest rated player on this team, as this is going to go back on this punt to UMass as they're going to hope to try to get a big return to pretty much just seal this one right before halftime as Jawan Price gets the pass, and he's going to be able to cut it outside, and he's going to get about to the midfield mark. UMass coming out in the wishbone as they're going to run a double isolation. There's just not going to be that much there as it's going to be 3rd and 4. And they're going to go back to the wishbone, but they're going to run out of play action. And Grant Jordan just completely misses his guy right there out of bounds. And they're actually going to go for it on 4th down in the power out to try to put this away. And Jawan Price is going to get there, and they're going to set the edge, and he's going to get that first down as he does look a little bit shaken up. And they're going to go to the air here with about 3 minutes left. And Grant Jordan's going to get hit, and he's going to fumble for another turnover. That's going to be his 3rd turnover today and his 6th through 2 games. Coach Hedgecock's got to start thinking about benching him and bringing somebody else back in and bringing in that true freshman to kind of take over and limit those turnovers at least. As FCS East here is going to be running the play action, and they're going to try to go right up the middle on a good little pass there. They're going to try to get points right before the halftime and get about to the 40-yard line. The quarterback's going to keep it. He's going to make a great cut and get about 8 yards on this play and cut it to about 3rd and 4 as they're going back in motion. Play action. He gets it out quick, and he's going to have a receiver that's going to be wide open. That's going to pick up the first down and move the sticks onto the 2-minute warning. SCS East here. Dropping back, throws it quick, straight to the flats, and he's going to be tackled very quickly. 3rd and 9. You got to hope to try to get in the end zone here. And he had a receiver open, but he doesn't have the arm, and he throws it short, and he's going to make a play and get that first down. UMass has got to run to the ball. They all got to flock to the ball as a team, and they're just not doing that right now. Maybe it's because they're up 30 points, but they're going to get a big sack as they get pressure, and that's going to be the 4th sack in the first half for UMass as FCS East goes back. They drop back out of their flex bone, and he's going to be sacked again, and that's going to make it 4th and goal as they're going to try for the field goal right before halftime. And their kicker hit a 51-yarder earlier, and then that one's going to be with ease. I will say for an FCS kicker, He's done an amazing job, as it's going to lead us into halftime, where UMass leads 35-6. The big story has been Jawan Price, who has 208 yards on 14 attempts with 2 touchdowns, and he's averaging about 15 yards a carry. He's been the big spotlight, as that UMass rushing attack has been the big factor in this game. If they weren't the biggest factor in this game, they may even be behind, because Grant Jordan has not been very effective in passing the ball. And you got to think about when they go to the locker room at halftime, Coach Hedgecott's going to talk to his offensive coordinator, his coaching staff, and they're going to have to reassess where they want to come back out here with Grant Jordan, who has really been struggling against an FCS school. And that's not something you want to be. Not something you want to see as they go to play Iowa next week. And if he turns the ball over like this, they're going to lose by 60 points to a Big Ten school, to a Power 4 school. And we're going to be back here as they come back out with the opening kickoff. And after a great return, FCS East is set up very well across midfield to about the 40-yard line to start this opening drive of the second half. And they're going to run that triple option. He probably should have kept it there, but he's going to pitch it to the outside and get no yardage there. He really just needs to lower his head and get as many as he can. And he's going to do that here, and he's going to get it about 8 yards and set it up for 3rd and 2 on this opening drive of the second half. And he's going to keep it again as they're going to try to get to the outside. He does. He's got plenty of room, but he's just too slow, and he's going to get caught. But it is going to be a first down for the FCS East Judicials as he drops back the throw here. He's trying to escape, and he just gets it off to avoid the sack. Almost intercepted there. It's a very dangerous throw as it brings him in here, and he's going to keep it to the outside again. He's going to have tons of space as that corner and linebacker are going to have to kind of join together on him on that tackle for a 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2, they're going to run a fullback sweep, and he's got plenty of room. He might be able to get in, and he's going to be stopped just short of the goal line, and it's going to be 1st and goal, and they're going to hand it off right up here, right up the middle as he breaks it to the outside, and he's going to walk into the touchdown untouched, and that's going to make it 35-13 as UMass is going to come out, and you have true freshmen in the game. And that's going to be A.J. Hairston taking over at the quarterback position, as Grant Jordan has been benched in the second half blowout here, as they're going to give it off to Price, and he's going to get about 13 to extend the drive. Now, A.J. Harrison's a little bit unique. He's a little bit more mobile, and he's going to lob it up here for the deep ball, and that's going to be caught in triple coverage by the receiver, T.Y. Harding, and that's going to be his 4th catch for 79 yards, and that's going to be an amazing grab, as that's going to be about a 40-yard gain, as A.J. Hairston comes out the gate, and he's getting out of the pocket and just lobbing it up to one of his favorite targets, as we've seen in practice, and that's going to be a 45-yard gain. It may not be the best idea, lobbing up in triple coverage, but, hey, if you trust your receiver and he goes up there and gets it, it's still a 40-yard gain, as you would expect, as it gets them down the 15-yard line, and he's going to keep it himself right up the middle, about to the 5-yard line. And that's the aspect that A.J. Hairston brings as they run the speed option. He's going to get it out to Price back down to the 4-yard line. And Hairston's a lot more of that scrambling quarterback, allows to evade. As we see here, he gets out of the pocket again, and he's going to run it down to about the 1-yard line, as it's going to be a 4th and goal, and they're going to go for it in this powerhouse set, and they're going to run it right up the middle with a double isolation play right there for Rocco Griffin again, who's going to end up getting the touchdown. I believe that's going to be his 2nd on the day, so both running backs have 2 touchdowns each. Oh, my bad. That was actually Price up the middle for that touchdown. So that's going to be his 3rd touchdown today for the senior, and he's having himself a day. We're going to have to look in after this game for a certain single-game records for UMass, because he may have been breaking some here today. As it goes on, FCS East is going to get the ball, take over another possession, 42-13, as they're going to throw a quick RPO to the outside, and he's going to get a couple yards as he gets some space for about a 5-yard gain. And they're going more into a spread-type look, as they're going to run a quarterback read, and he's going to get right up the middle for about 6-ish yards and get the first down. 3rd and 15 here. They're going to need a lot of yards to be able to gain this, as he's going to go down for another sack today, as Tim Grant Randall for the 3rd sack, the senior defensive tackle who's really been showing out against this FCS team. He's been getting all the sacks for this defense, as he has shown out today, as he was kind of quiet last week, but he has really bounced back as that leader of that defensive line for a 3-sack day, and it's going to lead to UMass taking it back over. A.J. Hairston dropping back as he's going to get out of the pocket and throw a ball on the run perfectly on the sideline, and that's going to be caught for a first down. 3rd and 10, sending the running back in motion. And this is going to be another one as he's going to throw it up, and he just overthrows his receiver a little bit in the triple coverage, and that's going to lead to a field goal here. And this is a nice long one. This is about 52-yarder as he's going to drill that right down the middle. A little bit of the power, if it was a little bit longer, I don't know if that goes in, but he's going to drill that right there as UMass is going to extend their lead to 45-13. Back with FCS East as they're still running the triple option. Looked like a little bit of confusion there, and that's going to quickly lead to a punt as a quick 3-and-out. And UMass is going to come out into this power I with Harrison as they're going to run it back to the outside. And Jawan Price has a ton of room, and you got to think that's going to be another touchdown for Jawan Price on the outside on that power out play as he's grittying in the end zone as he completely went untouched. And they're pretty much able to attack the edge all game against this FCS team. They've just been dominating them up front as he's able to pretty much walk in for another long touchdown. That's about a 45-yard gain. You got to think that at some point Coach Hedgecock might want to pull the starters out, give them some rest as they're going to have a big game coming up next week against that Iowa team. But in the meantime, back out to FCS East as they're still running the triple options. They give to the fullback right up the middle, and that's going to be another quick 3-and-out and quickly lead to UMass on a 3rd and 2 on their next drive. Late in the third quarter, about a minute left, he's kind of running the clock, and they're going to go direct snap to the running back who's going to run it right up the middle and get that first down, get about 3 yards. Harrison's going to drop back, run the RPO, which we haven't really seen too much of, and he's going to beat the edge and get about 15 yards. I think that's something that Coach Hedgecock's been kind of wanting to incorporate more as that leads us into the third quarter. You can see UMass has a ton of the yardage advantage, 225 yards on the through the air, 320 on the ground as they've just been dominating this rushing attack. They've pretty much showed up. We're bigger, we're better, and we're just going to pound it down your throat. As they hand it back off, and Harrison's actually going to keep this one. He has a ton of room, and that's the mobile ability that we're talking about with Harrison as he gets it all the way down to about the 10-yard line, close to the goal line. And he's going to pretty much just keep moving the sticks as we start out in this fourth quarter. And this is going to be some very valuable reps for him. And it's going to lead into that QB controversy next week of who's going to be starting as they go into the University of Iowa. As he hands it off here to Rocco Griffin, who's going to get right up the middle, untouched all the way down to the goal line as he fights in for another rushing touchdown for this UMass team. Rocco Griffin has been showing amazing reps along with the other starting running back, Jawan Price. And this is really a duo that we're going to be looking forward to seeing all season after this game. SCS East, about 8 minutes left in that flex bone offense. They're going to keep with the quarterback. He's going to cut it up the middle, and he's going to convert on that 3rd and 2 and get them a first down moving forward. 2nd and 12 here, and he's going to be sacked again. This offensive line for the FCS East has not done him any favors as he is getting killed back there, and he's going to go down for another sack for this UMass defense as they're going to run that pitch play to that receiver, and he's got some room on the outside. He might be able to get this first down as he's going to get tackled about 7 yards short on that outside, and that's going to lead to UMass taking over. 3rd and 2. It's going to lead to a 4th and 1 with about 5 minutes left, and they're going to go for it, and they're going to be in that right unbalanced look as they're running some clock, and they're going to pitch to the edge, and Rocco Griffin's going to go and be able to pick that up for about a 10-yard gain and move the sticks as they're continuing to run some clock. Now, this is one instance for the true freshman that's going to hurt him as that's an unnecessary sack that he's going to take. He's got to get rid of that ball, and this leads to a 3rd and 23. And they're going to run it to the outside because this has been their bread and butter all day. And he's going to pretty much pick up that 3rd and 23 on a 30-yard carry and give them a first down as they're going to continue to try to run this clock. And they're lined up in that wishbone. They go double isolate. Nope, they go play action as Harrison's going to take off and scramble and lead to a first down carry. 3rd and inches, and they're going to go down the 1 yard line. You got to think after last week, after Temple ran up the score on them, are they going to here? And Coach Hedgecock says yes. Instead of kneeing the ball out, he's going to show some attitude after getting the score ran up on him. He does the same thing to SCS East as they're going to score again and run up the score and give a final score of 66-13 as Coach Hedgecock's going to get his first win. And this shows Jawan Price, player of the game, 281 yards on the ground, 21 attempts, 4 touchdowns as UMass is going to move on and be 1-1 on the season as they go in next week against the University of Iowa and try to pull off the upset with a little bit of momentum that they've been able to build here. This is the type of teamwork that you see after that questionable performance last week of that big loss to Temple. They were able to rally back together and really win a game that they were supposed to, even though all of us were a little bit nervous because we didn't know after last week how they were going to react to this FCS team. But here's the stats of the game. Overall team was the team UMass had 427 yards on the ground, 650 yards of total offense, which is absolutely insane. They after the Grant Jordan interceptions, they didn't turn the ball over again. So that's going to be the real question here: is it going to be AJ Harrison taking over, or is it going to be Grant Jordan next week as we go into the game? It's going to be a big week of practice to see who's able to get that starting job. But the rushing attack, we've definitely found our two guys as Jawan Price gets 281 yards on the ground. Rocco Griffin has 94 yards and a total of 7 touchdowns between both of them. 4 touchdowns for Price, 3 touchdowns for Griffin. And that's going to be the big thing going forward. Are they going to be able to establish that rushing attack in every single game? Or is A.J. Harrison going to be able to develop and be able to get this receiving core going? As this is a younger receiving core that's going to be able to develop together, as we have a true freshman and 2 sophomores really going out there. Him being our 3 main receivers. And then defensive day, on the defensive side of the ball, you have Tim Grant Randall, who had a huge day with 3 sacks. And that's going to be about 8 sacks amongst all of them. And we did get Mac Defensive Player of the Week and Mac Offensive Player of the Week with Jawan Price and Randall. And then an update with recruiting. We still have Jeff Tillman, who's going to be the future quarterback if we're able to get him recruiting, and a couple offensive linemen that we're still working on here to be able to try to upgrade that offensive line who really struggled last week against Temple. And we still have a couple other defensive players. Mostly, though, it's going to be Jeff Tillman, the quarterback, and the offensive lineman that we're really trying to focus on. But recruiting in this game this year is a little bit tougher. It takes them a little bit longer to recruit. UMass is a 1.5-star program, so it's going to be very difficult to recruit and try to convince those guys to be able to come and play for us. But we're trying to get those 3 stars that we're mainly focusing on. Hopefully, we can get one recruit within the next 2 weeks. A couple of them are expected to come and visit during the Western Michigan game, so that's going to be a very big week for the University of UMass football. As we move in to look at next week UMass is going to be going on the road to play the University of Iowa, who's 2-0, and that's going to be their first big real test of the season as they take on their first Power 4 opponent in the Big Ten. Please make sure to like the video, comment down below what you think about the series, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to be able to keep up with it for more, as we're going to be releasing these videos every other day and try to get them out as fast as possible. And thanks for watching.